This summer our family took a 2-week trip to Europe. After spending time in Barcelona and Rome, we arrived at our third and final stop, Istanbul. On our first night we jumped right into action, starting first at the Rooftop Bazaar for some shopping and then dinner at the Mosque restaurant. We loved the atmosphere here where you sat on tables covered with beautiful rugs, listening to people playing Turkish music, and even saw some dervish dancers. This type of dance is a religious act of meditation that was amazing to witness. On our first full day, we headed to Topkapi Palace. From the 1400s until the 1860s, it served as the administrative center for the Ottoman Empire and the main residence of the sultans. The property is enormous and consists of courtyards, mosques, museums, terraces, and more. We first visited the harem, which was the living quarters for the women in the Sultan's family. We were amazed at the sheer number of rooms in the building, each one very different and beautiful. During our visit, we were also able to see some historic artifacts such as David's sword, Moses' staff, and artifacts from Muhammad in the museum, as well as an Arabic calligraphy museum. In the afternoon, we spent time at one of the most beautiful buildings in the city, Hagia Sophia, which was built in the year 537. It's gone through many transformations over the years, starting as a church until the Ottoman conquest of Constantinople in 1453, then a mosque until 1935, then a museum until 2020, and now it's a mosque again. What we enjoyed most was sitting on the floor and enjoying the views of the incredible structure and ceiling. Afterwards, we headed to the Blue Mosque, also known as the Sultan Ahmed Mosque, which was built in the early 1600s. The interior walls are stunning with 20,000 hand-painted tiles as well as 200 stained glass windows. It's a huge structure with 5 main domes, 6 minarets, and 8 secondary domes. The mosque had been undergoing renovation for the past 6 years, covering up most of the beautiful ceiling, and had just reopened days before we arrived.
Vanilla, chocolate, strawberry, lemon, bubble gum. Chocolate. How are you? Where from? America. Thank you. You're welcome. Goodbye. For you, for me. Okay? Change. Taste. Geliyor, meyhaneye bak.
We then went for our first of multiple trips to the Grand Bazaar, which is the oldest and largest covered market in the world. It has 61 covered streets and over 4,000 shops. The kids enjoyed bartering with the shopkeepers as they looked for things to buy. We then enjoyed one of many rooftop restaurants for dinner and sunset while listening to the call to prayer over the speakers around the city. The next day we spent the morning over in the Taksim area, taking the tram and a historic funicular to get there. We walked up and down Istiklal Street and enjoyed some Turkish coffee and some shopping. We then visited the Galata Tower, which is an iconic medieval stone tower that stands tall in the Galata district. With a rich history dating back to the 14th century, the tower has become a symbol of Istanbul's skyline and a popular tourist attraction. Built in 1348 and standing at a height of 219 feet, the tower served various purposes throughout its existence. Initially, it acted as a defense fortification, providing strategic views of the city and the surrounding area. Over the centuries, the Galata Tower witnessed numerous changes and renovations. It served as a fire lookout tower, signaling fires that broke out in the city, and it even housed a prison at one point. However, the tower's most famous use was as an observation deck, offering breathtaking panoramic views of Istanbul. From the observation deck, visitors can marvel at the stunning vistas of the city, including the historical peninsula, the Bosphorus Strait, and the Golden Horn. The tower's circular balcony provides an excellent vantage point for capturing memorable photographs and enjoying the city's beauty. We then walked across the Galata Bridge, which is a significant landmark that spans the Golden Horn, connecting the historic Imononu and Karakoy districts. Originally constructed in the 19th century, the Galata Bridge has undergone several reconstructions and modifications throughout the years. One of the defining features of the Galata Bridge is its vibrant fishing scene. Along the bridge, numerous fishermen line the rails, casting their lines into the water below. That evening, we had booked a private tour of the Asian side of Istanbul, which helped really immerse us in the culture, architecture, and history. Our guide, Emre, is a professor at the local university, poet, photographer, and student of urban design. He walked us through Karakoy and Moda, explaining so much the history of Istanbul, the architecture of the area, and how cities in Europe and Asia have embraced the concept of 15-minute cities, where you can walk to anything you need. We tried some coffee, walked through old bazaars, and saw a waterfront park and more. Once done with our tour, we walked back to the ferry and got our own sunset cruise. Turns out, no need to book an expensive Bosphorus cruise, just hop on the ferry for 50 cents around sunset for beautiful views of the skyline. On our final full day, we went to the Basilica Cistern, which is the largest of several hundred cisterns underneath Istanbul. It was built over 1,500 years ago and provided water to Topkapi Palace and other buildings for hundreds of years. It has 336 marble columns and can hold 2.8 million cubic feet of water. We then visited the Spice Market, which is a vibrant marketplace situated in the Imonenu district near the famous Galata Bridge and is one of the city's most popular and bustling attractions. As we stepped into the Spice Market, we were immediately met by a sensory explosion. The air is filled with the intoxicating aroma of freshly ground spices, dried fruits, teas, and Turkish delights. The market's narrow alleys and stalls are adorned with colorful displays showcasing a vast array of culinary treasures and traditional products. We then visited a few more mosques, including the impressive Suleimani Mosque, which was one of our favorites. It was built in the 1500s and until 2019 was the largest mosque in the city. We stopped by the Grand Bazaar one last time, including an old book bazaar hidden away from the chaos of the Grand Bazaar. We wandered the shops looking for cats and purchased Harry Potter written in Turkish. The kids counted 153 cats during our time in Istanbul. For our last evening, we walked down to Sultan Ahmet Square for a bit to see the 3,000-year-old obelisk, then had an amazing last meal at Ararat restaurant, another rooftop restaurant with an incredible view overlooking the Bosphorus as well as the Hagia Sophia and the Blue Mosque. The following morning, we waited for our transportation at 4:30 in the morning, listening to the call to prayer. We had an incredible time in Istanbul.